Okay, this is my 2008 Mazda 6 with a 4-cylinder. Going to be changing the driver's side transmission mount. And it is located just right down in here back, kind of behind or underneath the battery. Here is the replacement. And you can never underestimate the vibrations you can get from these, and even if they're not showing a lot of signs of just coming apart, once they start getting old and getting bad, they start doing a lot of vibrating. The first thing I've done is I've positioned a jack under here, and I've got a block of wood, and you also want to make sure to get on kind of on the pan there and not on this frame on here, so you can actually support the transmission on this side. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to kind of get it supported for now, and then we'll start working from up here. And we're going to have to remove several things here just to make it a little easier. Which is nothing real difficult, but disconnecting the battery, you may have to do the relearn. It's like a 20-minute idle, nothing on, and like a 15-20 minute idle with your AC on full blast. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just disconnect both of our battery cables. And I don't have a strap down on my battery, so if you have one of those, you'll want to take that off. A couple of 10 millimeters holding the battery box. Just get these two out. Okay, we're just going to lift this up out of here now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take this connector right here loose and slide it off. We've got a 10 millimeter right here. We'll go ahead and get that, and then we'll just slide this boot off of here. This connector right here, just squeeze these together, and that will pop off. You have to just squeeze it a little bit and work. Sometimes you have to work one side and then the other, but it will come off. Okay, with those unhooked, I said this thing, just give it a little tug. It's pretty snug, but it should twist off of here. Okay, now this whole entire box will lift up out of here. See, it's got the little things that go down in those rubber grommets. Okay, and right here on the front side, we've got our 15 millimeter right there. We just have to start taking that loose. It's got a piece back here, this that keeps it from turning either way, so you don't have to hold it. But be mindful of that when you get it loose, so it doesn't fall off down there and you have trouble finding it. So we're just taking this here loose first. Now make sure that you do have your jack positioned underneath before you go to taking this loose. It would fall down onto the frame, but still you want to make sure you got it supported, because also it's going to kink up if you try to take it loose, because this is all that's holding it from this point. So we're just going to take that completely out. Okay, so this is the piece that comes off of the back. You can see how it catches when you're tightening, and it catches when you're loosening. So like I said, that just fell off, so I know that it's loose. The bolt is kind of hung up in there, which I'm not worried about. I'm going to go ahead. We've got this 15 millimeter and this 15 millimeter right up here, and we're going to get up there and get to them. Okay, so I'm just using a big long with a swivel socket on this here to get to these two, and we're just going to go ahead and get these out. And these are really tight. All of them are going to be really tight. And the next one, we're going to get on these 17s here. We've got 3 17s. I'm going to go ahead and get those next. Okay, so I'm just working on taking this first 17 millimeter. These are pretty tight. You'll want to use a cheetah pipe or something. I've got a couple more back there to get after this one. Okay, after you remove all those 17s, this would be ready to come loose. We've got these little centering pieces. Don't want to lose those. We'll go ahead and set those in our bucket. And we should be able to wiggle our bolt out here now. We've got a little clip, little wire clip right here. We'll have to squeeze that together and push that back out. Okay, so now we're ready to lift this up and off of here. We'll just set this aside. Okay, now we've got 2 more 15 millimeters. Got one right there and one right there. So we're just gonna get these 2 out and we'll be able to pull it out of here. Now, like I said, all these are pretty tight. I've had to use a cheater pipe on several. Okay, so we're just using a little bit of an extension here and working these lower 2. Once you get them broke loose, they come out pretty easy. Okay, and with those, we're just ready to lift this up and out of here. And we can take a look at it and see the condition now. It's still holding together, but a lot of dry rotting around here. You can see. And then the back side don't look any better, starting to separate. So we're going to go ahead and work on getting this other one over here. Okay, and just a quick comparison. Now these do look quite a bit different. However, the bolt holes are the same. It's just not the same as the OEM. These line up the same. These are the same. This diameter and distance here is the same. Now the only real difference is this has a stud which goes into that battery pan. I'm kind of curious how that's going to line up, but we'll see. Everything else seems to be pretty close. So we're just going to go ahead and work on getting this back in here. We'll just go ahead and bolt this up first, and then we'll work on getting our bracket back onto our transmission there. So we'll go ahead and just get our lower bolts and then our top into this right here. Okay, so just working on tightening these down one at a time. Not really going to be torquing these. I'm just going to get them really, really tight. Okay, so we got all those nice and tight, and we're just going to go ahead and set our bracket. And sometimes it takes some wiggling this around because it does move. We may have to get our jack and jack it back up. So just kind of work with it a little bit here because I can tell it's down too low. It's not really lining up as it is, but the front one's okay. But I think before I ever snug these, we're going to start this one up here because it's the most difficult to get through. We're going to get this started, and then we'll work on getting those in. Okay, so you can kind of see how I've got those studs lowered. It's kind of lowered down. I just went ahead and started this one, this bolt, and we're going to get our fastener. Goes on the back side just like that, and then it just locks onto that piece, but we have to turn the bolt from this side and just get it into place, and that'll tighten against that. Okay, and I've got that tightened on there a little ways, but I'm going to leave that loose for now because it's going to give me a little wiggle room with these other studs. Now we're going to go ahead and jack it back up. And remember, we've got the little spacer or the little alignment, if I can ever find one. We got these that have to go back in here, and they just help line that up as you're tightening those 17 millimeters down. So I'm just going to go ahead and start my 17s into place. I've jacked it back up just a little bit. I'm going to start with this center one right here, and if I can ever get it centering up, get enough thread started, it'll pull this transmission into alignment. On these 17s, I'm putting a little bit of this red high strength Loctite on each one of these. With my 3 17 millimeter nuts tightened, I can go ahead and tighten this 15 here good and tight. Now I just needed it loose, so I had a little slack to pull that transmission around into alignment. Okay, with those tight, I'm just setting my battery box in here, and surprisingly enough, it looks like it actually lines up. I'm just going to have to put a little bolt in here instead. So we're going to go ahead and get the nut back on there and put a bolt in here. Okay, and we had a little wire right here that reclips into this bracket, and this wire here goes back up into this, and we just got to make sure we get our sensors and stuff back up here out of the way so we can pop our air box back in here. So nothing to the air box, just pops right over that back into those grommets, and then this will slip right back on. Just don't forget to tighten this or you'll have all kinds of problems. And then we're going to get this realigned. Just pop that right back into place there. Okay, we're just going to reconnect this right here. And now we're ready to go ahead and get our battery back in here. Okay, so we're just going to get this jack out from under here now. Okay, so now nothing to do but take it for a test drive and see if it sounds any better. And expect some stalling issues at first. Like I said, unless you do the idle relearn. Usually every time I disconnect the battery on here, it gives me some fits, and I have to drive it around a little bit, or I have to do that 20-minute idle with nothing on, and then the 20-minute with the AC full blast. But hopefully it's not going to do that this time, but we'll see. But anyways, that's going to conclude the video, and not very hard doing this mount. Say it's not too bad at all, but if you found it helpful, give it a like. As always, I invite you to subscribe, and I thank y'all for watching.